Today, we welcome Rachel Arnold to the Credible Sources podcast. She's a recent graduate of National University's Master of Science in Designing Instructional and Educational Technology. Credible Sources is a video podcast brought to you by the National University Library. In each episode, we talk with the NU community about a wide range of academic topics revolving around research, collaboration, and communication. We invite you to listen and watch as we dive into some of the latest issues while also exploring the personal journey of our guests. Could you just give us a brief introduction? Tell us about your educational background and the NU graduate program you recently completed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to be here. As you mentioned, I did just finish the Master's in Designing Educational Instructional Technology from National. I do also have a Bachelor's in Film, also from National. But I have been doing online education for the majority of my schooling, on and off throughout elementary school, and then pretty much onward since freshman year of high school. So I've seen pretty much any kind of online education there is to have.
How did you prepare to study, to complete the courses, and to prepare for a new career?
Yeah, so this particular degree focuses on integrating technology and multimedia into simulations, real-world environments, things like that, to solve any sort of problem with a learning issue, which is teaching. But essentially, having a really strong schedule for yourself can be very important, especially in a world where everything is digital, so there's no physical, concrete boundaries for your learning and your time management. And I would say that in terms of long-term, the career, networking ahead of time really is a good start.
So let's pivot to that aspect of networking in a digital environment. How do you make that work? Just completing a degree but not having experience, for example. How do you reach out and create that network for yourself?
What it boils down to is you just have to put yourself out there. And I know that seems like a silly and an obvious thing, but especially for people of my generation, that can be a pretty tricky thing to do. LinkedIn, any social media, getting someone's email address from a class, from, the school registry of teachers, anything like that. And the worst thing that can happen is you send someone a message and they ignore you. And the best thing that can happen is you send someone a message and they respond and are able to give you some sort of helpful tip or trick or create a possible networking opportunity for the future.
You got to be kind of brave to be able to do that. But the good thing is, like you said, if they don't want to respond, they'll just ignore you. But that is always a good option to consider. So now I think you find yourself in the same position that a lot of national graduates might find themselves in. You graduated from your program, but you don't have experience in that field. So how do you get that experience?
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of job postings require 5 years of experience the minute you graduate.
5 years of experience the minute you graduate.
So since I can't time travel, essentially relying on the networking that you laid the foundations for before can be really useful for just sort of knowing what jobs are available where. And taking a role that's less specified, that's less directly in your field, so you can just sort of get your foot in the door in the educational technology world. Whereas mine is designing educational instructional technology, taking like a user experience role or a user interface design role, something like that that's close enough and gets you some experience.
There are a lot of possibilities and a lot of options for career choices for the field of instructional design. As you mentioned, it's not just solely instructional design. You mentioned user experience design. Talk about the career options and choices for someone with this particular degree.
Yeah, there's always education, primary schools, middle schools, high schools, higher education even. Those are a little harder to break into without credentials or like very strong references from people within whatever institution you're applying to. But then there's always the corporate world. Companies are training new employees, they're training higher management employees, they need to conduct, state required racial equity, sexual harassment, things like that. So that training is always available, both in the private corporate sector as well as for government contracts.
You may not have the experience that they're looking for. So how do you prepare yourself for those kind of positions and try to expand your education on your own?
Yeah, since you're not likely to get a job right out the door, although if you do, I'm so jealous of you and congratulations. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap while you're searching around, applying to different places, feeling out the field. So an external certification is a very good way to sort of build up something while you have some spare time. I know a bunch of different places offer it, but I've specifically taken a Google certification course. It's a user experience course. It is free to take.
Okay, now that you're looking back on completing your program and you think of all those courses that you took over a fairly lengthy period of time, what would you say is the one course or the one area that really resonated with you, that really got you excited about what you learned and maybe looking towards a possible career in that area? Is there any one particular area that really stood out for you in any particular class?
I would say that the most fun and exciting course to have taken were those that dealt with virtual reality or augmented reality. And I know those seem like fancy matrix terms, but more often than not, in the real world, everyday type scale, virtual reality is more of a Sims, Minecraft type environment. And since most of the younger people that I know have at least limited experience and limited, if not great interest in something like that, those courses were really fun to take and get to know the behind the scenes so that should I ever encounter needing to design instruction for them, I really understand what's going on with that. I would say that the most fulfilling out of all of them was the final capstone course, where we were able to bring together everything we'd learned and put forth a project, which is, as no surprise to anyone, fulfilling. But one of the great parts about instructional design is that it is not limited to the educational world. And so as someone without experience in a classroom as a teacher, I was able to pull in the corporate service worker training that I had taken so many times, and so I had firsthand experience with, and design what I knew was missing in my own training. So that was just very fulfilling to sort of fill in those gaps.
Okay, so let's focus a little bit on the aspect of research and using some of the resources that you have available while you're in your program. So talk about use of the library services. Have you had an opportunity, or did you have an opportunity through your program to work directly with our library staff?
Yeah, so one of the great things about a school that offers most of its courses online is that it understands that people need to do their research online as well. So it's really built to combine with other search engines. So you're able to get all your research done in one place. So there's not 12,000 different tabs open. You're trying to cross-reference 3 different libraries that have a PDF available. So it's really great that it makes it a lot more of a streamlined process. So then the stress is on the success of the project and not on getting the resources for it. During my program, I did not have a chance to work directly with the library. But right now, as with this podcast, I'm getting some great experience learning how the internal workings of the library are and really just how they support the internal structure of the students' learning.
We find at the library that I'm sure you're not in this category, but we have many students that seem to procrastinate some of their assignments till the very last minute. Fortunately, we have a 24-hour chat service, which students can take advantage of too, which is, we seem to get a lot of use on that the last week or so of every course. It's kind of remarkable. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure you weren't one of those procrastinators, right?
Given that I've been doing online school for so long, I do have the time management part a little done more easily. Not the procrastination side, but I do understand the late night studying side of things. One of the great parts about an asynchronous education is that it's asynchronous. So during high school, for example, I was able to work a part-time job, as minors do, but because of the flexibility of the classes and because of, like you mentioned, that almost 24/7 availability of resources from the library, I was able to do my schoolwork when I came home at night and not have to stress about missing classes or not being able to make it before the library closes, that kind of thing. And that really does make a difference.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you, and I've really enjoyed it. And I hope I wish you a lot of success, and I'm really excited to have you working with us in our mentorship project at the library.
I'm very excited for it as well. That is my hope, is that it's fulfilling for everyone and great things come out of it.
And we hope it's a springboard for new things for you career-wise as well. So thank you very much, Rachel. Have a great day.